Hey guys, so we've had a few requests about how we make our alcohol, so we'll run you through it. It's quite simple. Mix all your ingredients, let it ferment for a week, then we strain it, cook it, and then we make it to whatever strength you need and go from there. So this first process of getting all the ingredients together is the easiest part. So you need 8 kilos of sugar, or in this case we use dextrose. You need a packet of yeast. We like to use turbo yeast as it gets to ferment fully within a week. We have a 5 litre jug for the water and a little scale to measure. What we use is a 30 litre fermentation barrel with a little airlock on top, keeps all the nasties out. And what we do first is put 16 litres of warm water into here. Don't want it hot, don't want it cold. And then we'll mix the sugar in, and last add the yeast. Now you don't want it too hot, otherwise it will kill the yeast off straight away. So a good way to check, make sure your water is at the right temperature, is one of these temperature strips. So this just sticks straight onto the side of the barrel. As you can see, it's sitting around 34 to 36 degrees. That's fine for now. Once we add the sugar or the dextrose, that temperature will drop, and we want it to sit around that 25, 26 mark as close as we can, and that way we don't kill off the yeast. Okay, so that's 8 kilos of dextrose in there now. Give it a good stir. Now let's check out the temperature. You can see it's already dropped way down. So that's exactly where we want it. So now we're going to add the yeast and then top it up to 25 litres. So this is the yeast I usually use, mainly because it comes with its own carbon. It's really good for filtering out all nasties. That just gets poured straight on top. Try not to make it too dusty. And then we just mix that in as well. You can be pretty vigorous with this. A bit of aeration actually helps with the fermentation process. So it's all mixed in nicely. Now we started off with 16 litres of water, and it has raised it up to about 21 litres. So what we need now is 4 litres of cold water, and then we can put the lid back on, and that's this barrel done. And you can see it's pretty full. We want to leave a bit of headroom there for it to ferment. It does get pretty bubbly. These are really active yeast. And we're at the 25 litre mark. So now we're just going to let that sit for a week with the lid on, and then we'll come back and cook it. Now, in the interest of saving money, I like to buy things in bulk, so that's why I get a 25 kilo bag of dextrose, and I'll get 3 bags of yeast, and I'll do 3 batches all at the same time. So now, lid goes on. Now for the first day, you want to leave it loose, as that's when it's going to be most active. After the day, you can put it on back tight, so like that, and the airlock will keep all the bugs out and allow it to bubble out as it ferments. Okay, so now that one's done, just going to repeat it 2 more times, and then we'll have all 3 ready to go, and then in a week's time, we'll clear it, cook it, and do what we need to do with the alcohol. Hey guys, so it's been 1 week since we put the brew mixtures together. So now all the yeast would have eaten the sugars, create the alcohol mixed in with the water, and when we open it up, so it's quite dark because it's got carbon inside, and what the carbon does is removes the impurities inside the water and the mixture. So what we're going to do next is add a clearer, and what that does is drag all the carbon and any yeast that's still floating around down to the bottom, and then we'll draw out the clear liquid tomorrow and then we'll cook it. So what you want to do first is get a nice vigorous stir, which gets rid of all the CO2 and mixes all the sediments up into the mixture. That's why you can see all the bubbles. That's all CO2 getting mixed out.
That's pretty cool.
Alright. So we like to use what's called turbo clar. So it's basically a clearer. Now this does it in 24 hours. You usually have a pretty good product. It's 2 parts. So part 1 goes in first, you wait 1 hour, put part 2 in. Part A will attach to all the sediment and it actually grows like little fibres. And part B grabs onto those fibres and it's like a heavier substance, we'll drag it down to the bottom. So part A you can pour in real fast. When it comes to part B later, you want to put it in nice and gently, so it makes a top layer and it'll drag it all down in one. So once part A's in, give it a nice big mix around. And then we'll come back in 1 hour's time, add part B, and then tomorrow we'll have a nice clear liquid that we can draw out and cook. Alright, so it's been 1 hour. So as you can see, it already looks a lot clearer than it did before. So what we're going to do is add part B. Then you want to add this nice and slow. And then come tomorrow morning, it should be nice and clear. Okay, so once that's in there, you can just give it a little stir very gently just to spread it around the top. And that should drag everything down. It'll be nice and clear in the morning. You can see most of the sediment's already down the bottom. And we'll just drag the rest of it out. Hey guys, so this is 2 days after we put the clearer into the brew mixture. So as you can see, it's gone nice and clear now. So it's going to come out real nice. Next step is to transfer this into our still. So our still is the Turbo 500. So it's got the copper condenser and the stainless steel boiler, 25 litre boiler, and that's why we went for 25 litres of wash, so it lines up perfect. So what we'll do first is transfer this liquid into here. So next we'll add these ceramic saddles, and they're going to help distribute the heat and make it boil nice and smooth, as well as some distilling conditioner, which stops it from boiling over. So very handy. Okay, so next you want 3 capfuls of the distilling conditioner. That's 3 capfuls just because of the size of the still. And that's all it needs. So as you can see, After we put the clearer in, it drags all this yeast and carbon down to the bottom, and that's what makes the liquid nice and clear. So the idea is when you are retrieving the liquid out of this container, you want to leave all that down the bottom. So the least disturbance, the better. This is the last of the brew mixture to go in. It's our max level there, so it's 25 litres. So we've got just under 25 litres of clear wash. So what we'll do now is heat it up, get it ready to cook, and then I'll show you the rest of the process. Alright, so we're getting up to temperature now. So inside the column, right there, we're getting to 36 degrees. So that's the outlet water temperature. Now our cooling system, let's see, the hoses just go there to the spa. So I'm using the spa as a water source with a solar water pump, like a pond pump. And what they'll do is just cycle through the cold water from the spa. So we'll come up through this tube here, go through the column, back down, and what that does is cools the steam that comes up from the boiler. And then what comes out is alcohol. So this first bit in this bottle here contains the things like your sulfites and stuff. So we'll actually use this for our cleaning spray. Comes out about 92-93%, so it's quite strong. And once we get enough of that out, we'll swap it over to the other container, and that'll be our normal clean alcohol. Okay, so what I've done is adjust the amount of flow coming to the still. So now we're getting up to cooking temperature, which is around that 57.5. So anywhere between 50 and 65 degrees is where you want. The lower the temperature, the slower it will come out, but you get a higher quality. So I like to keep it around mid-range at 57.5. That gives it good quality as well as doesn't take too long. That is where we're using the sun today to power the pump. Makes it a lot more energy efficient. And we can just leave it out here for the next couple of hours. And as you can see at this temperature, how much faster it flows. So now it's in here. We'll leave it for a couple of hours, keep an eye on the temperature, make sure it doesn't fluctuate. And yeah, hopefully get about 4 litres of this 90%, 92% alcohol, and then we can do some stuff from there. Okay guys, so after yesterday's cook, we got it to about 3.8 litres of 92-93% alcohol. So what we need to do now is water it down and then put it through a filter. So this is our filter tower. So you can see it's got 2 carbon filters, and they'll take out any impurities left in the alcohol and in the water and come out with a nice clean product. So we'll show you how to water it down and then filter. Okay, so when we want to water down our alcohol, first we need to know how much alcohol there is in there, and then as we water it down, what level it gets to. Now from experience, I know if I have about 3.8 litres of fresh alcohol, that if I put 3.5 litres of water, just to water it down at first, it'll get me to a point that's close to where I want to be, hopefully under 50%, and then from there I can do a calculation to find out how we get down to about 38.5 to 40%. So this here is our alcometer in a little test tube. So what we'll do is pour some of the fresh alcohol in, see what percentage we are at, and then see what percentage we're at after we add the water. Okay, so as we can see here, can see where it sits. Try and keep it as centered as possible. That's sitting just at about 90 at the moment, so it's not too bad. So then we'll water it down, give it a mix, and see what we'll level at. Now I do this twice just so it rinses out the other alcohol. That way I know I've got a true reading of what's in here now. As you can see, it's shot right down. So as this goes up, the percentage goes down. The more water, the more float. That there is sitting just above 50, just on. Wait for some of the bubbles to clear. So that's right on 50%. So the calculation we use now to get it down to where we want is how much litres is in here at 50%. So we do litres times percentage, and then what we want to do is divide it by the percentage that we want, so 38.5, and then that will tell us how many litres we need in here to make that percentage. And then you just take off whatever's on here, and it tells you how much water to put in. So I'll do that calculation quickly. Alright, so I just did the calculation for what's in here. So at 50% and 6.7 litres of alcohol, if I want that down to 38.5, which I do, then there needs to be a total of 8.96, approximately that. So I've got 2.25 litres of water to add in, and then that should bring the percentage down to 38.5. Flush it out. Let's see how close we got. Try to get it balanced. Wait for some of these bubbles to clear. So there it is there, sitting just under 40%, which is just where we want it. So now when it goes through the filter, you'll balance it out nicely. Okay, so this is our easy filter, and as you can see, it's just got a carbon filter tube and a securing device that just twists on. So this is the old one, so we'll take it off by unscrewing it. Just like that. So that's the old one. Now, what we got on here are they're like foam washers, and that just helps keep a seal between the bucket and the filter. So now we've got a brand new one. As you can see, it doesn't look much different, but this one here on the inside, it's a bit hard to see. It's got all the impurities, all the stuff that you don't want filtering through, and when you're doing alcohol, these don't last for many filters. So this one goes straight back on. And what you want to do is just make sure it's as nice and centre as possible. Tighten on. And we'll do the same with the next one, and then we'll put it through the filter. So when you have your alcohol into the filter, it will take a while to filter. In fact, the slower it is, the better. The more contact it has with the carbon filter, the smoother it will be. Now, once you've got your filtered alcohol, many things you can do with it. We like to turn it into different flavours, so you can get tequila flavours and gin, bourbons. I like to make a bourbon with bourbon chips. So a nice simple bourbon is this one here, the honey bourbon. Pretty easy to make. This bottle here will make 3 750ml bottles of bourbon. Just follow the simple instructions there. Bit of sugar, bit of clear alcohol or vodka, and then just a 750ml worth of flavouring. So I've got that in here at the moment. Got about 3 litres mixed in. I like to use the bourbon chips as well, gives it a bit more for a solid flavour. What you'll find is that these chips will break down over time. Perfectly natural, they are just wood. So what you gotta do is just filter out the chips, and the easiest way to do that is get your chucks roll or cloth and then let it drain through there, and what you'll have is a nice clean product that tastes magnificent. So we just set up the cloth and jug underneath, tap on, you'll see these little bits of chip come out, you get caught by the chucks roll, and then in the jug you have nice clean bourbon. What you do is simply pour it in. And what you end up with is a nice bottle of bourbon. Hi guys, so as you can see on our bar here, you can't tell if this is homemade or store bought. So after years of making bourbon and other alcohol ourselves, we find it's a lot nicer, better flavour, and you get a nice quality product by making it yourself, and we prefer it that way. When you make it yourself, you can do any flavour you want as well. We like to do gin, tequilas, bourbon, different flavoured vodkas. You can add different fruits and all sorts into it. Make some really nice products. So it comes out nice and clean and there's no nasties. Hope you guys enjoyed learning how to make alcohol. If you want to see more videos like this, let us know in the comments, and like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.